Hey, we're back. Thanks for joining us again, and we have John Jantsch on the show. Many of my dear friends said there's no way I could get him on the show, but we were able to strong arm his publicist and bring him aboard. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
It was absolutely my pleasure. I've hung out here all day, and I guess you finally decided to invite me in.
That's not how we see it at all. Hey, so you and I met. It was during the blizzard of '78, I think. At South by Southwest, and I believe one of us was wearing a boa around it.
Well, I don't know about you, Tim, but I was a high school senior in 1978.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
So it might not have been me. But maybe
I'm thinking of somebody else.
Let's fast forward to 2003 or something.
Something like that. Actually, it's probably been later.
Yeah.
But it was you, me, David Meerman Scott,
yeah.
And we were outside of the Four Seasons. And then I don't know if it was your friend or someone came by who was friends with you or David, who she was wearing this wild outfit with she always wore a boa. That's her brand.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't remember who it was. I remember that moment though, but I can't remember who that was. I think it might have been a friend of David's. But she did, she got our attention with the boa, and so we constantly
and it worked.
Had a conversation. That's right.
It worked. It's a way of branding, in a way. I think that was her approach. Look, let me ask you this. Since then, or going back a ways, how would you say marketing has changed? You've been writing about this for a while. You've been speaking about this for a while.
Well, I've actually owned my own business as a marketing consultant for almost 30 years, And I mean, if you think about that time frame, we didn't have the internet. I mean, so marketing, in a lot of ways, we just didn't have a lot of options. I would run an ad in a magazine, and somebody would call in and order a product or send me a check, and I'd send them a physical 3-ring binder. I mean, I was selling information products in the early 2000s, and it was so cool when we got to the point where the CDs, you could actually print your picture on them. It was so cool. And we'd ship it out. And it's amazing. I mean, the whole process maybe took 5 weeks for somebody to get their information. Can you imagine that? But, the thing that I always tell people is, the tools and the channels have changed, but it's still all about, solving problems and getting trust enough so that somebody's willing to get their wallet out and making them, the experience so great that they're willing to get it out again.
Yeah.
I mean, those things haven't changed at all. And I think we sometimes lose sight of that fact because it's so easy to just bomb people with messages on Twitter.
There were some core decision-making pieces that just are always going to be with us, that go back to primal needs. Like one of the guys I worked with at Cisco, you move into cloud and how do you sell that and everything. He always went back to, it's an emotive decision.
Yes.
The CIO wants to feel safe about his or her job.
Yeah.
And those things are never going to change. And it's just finding maybe a new way on how you give them that level of comfort that it's a safe decision.
And I think that's why that whole idea of storytelling has become such a big deal in marketing today. But truthfully, it's always been the case. I mean, the door-to-door salesperson who was really good at telling stories did a lot better than that person that was just trying to shove product in somebody's face. And so, again, I keep going back to telling folks, the ultimate motivation or motive for why people buy things is to solve a problem that they have. And so if we're not tuning into that first and understanding and promising to solve that problem, then our marketing is going to be seen as a pest as much as anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Is there a way that or is there a very specific tactic that you can share with brands to get them to that point?
Well, the first one is to understand, what those problems are. I mean, I tell marketers all the time, nobody wants our websites or SEO or paid ads.
Right.
I mean, they don't want any of that stuff. They want the phone to ring.
Yes.
And so, or they want to show up because their competition seems to be ahead of them, or they want to stop having everybody, just try to beat them up on price. I mean, we have to understand that that's really what they're suffering from, and all this other stuff is just tools to solve that problem.
Right.
So we sit down with clients, and we ask them questions. We look at reviews. If you're not able to do interviews with your clients, but you're getting reviews, say Google reviews, it's amazing the candid language that people will use in those things, both good and bad, that can tell you a ton, because in a lot of cases, that's unsolicited. I decided I had such a great experience. I'm going to go tell the world why I had such a great experience. Pay close attention to those words, because that's probably this problem that you're solving for your ideal client. And it's probably not what you're putting on your website.
That's right. And a lot of times if I'm working on a comedy video for a client, I like, a lot of comedy comes from pain, and I like to go start with the customer's pain point, and I will go exactly to those reviews, and and use them verbatim.
Yeah.
I will try to take the customer's word about what they're struggling with the most, and build a script around that.
Yes.
And it's such a powerful tool, and I think people are still learning to figure out how to use that and help.
And you're right. I mean, some of the negative reviews, even though people hate them, I mean, in some cases, people just need to pay attention because they're doing a bad job. And it's like they're telling you that. I mean, like, I imagine some of your comedy routines. Restaurant. I wouldn't let my dog eat at this place.
Yes.
I mean, people will write stuff like that. Obviously, people are mean, trolls, things like that. But in some cases, negative reviews can actually be feedback that you can and should use and respond to get better.
Yeah. You know what? I think in the past, we do have this tendency, I think just out of insecurity, to sweep over that and delete the review and not do anything about it. But if you do take on that review and embrace it, and you're being vulnerable about your weakness, and maybe even make a video about dogs coming to the restaurant or something, sitting at a table ordering, that totally, I think that creates empathy with your customer, with all of them, especially the one you may have lost.
I was in Austin, I think it was Austin one time. I was walking down the street, and somebody had a restaurant, had like the sandwich board thing out front, and said, "Come taste the meatball sub," that one reviewer said was blah, just really like totally negative. I thought that was brilliant. I mean, have fun with it.
I think there's a certain amount of confidence that comes from, or that I feel, if a brand's willing to do that, they obviously, and they're not afraid of that review. They're obviously, to me, it says, "Hey, I'm confident about the meatball sub. It's going to be good." And
I think also it adds a level of humanness to it as well. Because I tell people all the time, you don't want all 5-star reviews because nobody's that perfect.
That's right.
and so some of that kind of average stuff is because that's human nature. You're not always going to have a great day. You're not always going to give people a great experience, but it's just an opportunity for you to get better. But you just got to kind of embrace it and see it for what it is.
And move forward, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, thank you for being on the show. And
Our
where can
time
we
can't
find
possibly be up. I'm having too much fun.
You can fit everything in 47 seconds. Hey, how can we reach you?
Sure. Well, so I've been around forever at ducttapemarketing.com, and it's DUCTTAPE marketing.com. Newsletter, podcasts, blog, videos, training, all kinds of junk there. Just go grab it and see if anything catches your eye.
Mouse pads?
No mouse pads.
No mouse pads anymore?
Stress balls, though.
Oh, we need
Lots
those.
of duct tape.
Yes, we'll take that.
Hello Kitty duct tape even. That's my favorite.
Boom. Thanks for being on the show, man.
My pleasure.
Take care, brother.
All right, see you.
Okay. Hey, we are back with Ron Tite, comedian extraordinaire, creative director, and agency owner of Church and State. Ron, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Tim. It's great to be here.
Hey, look, I want to ask you, let's get to comedy first.
Okay.
What do you see specifically? How are the rules of what you know in comedy, how do those translate to the wonderful world of marketing?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things. Comedy there's no better metric, there's no better activity to judge a metric of success, right? It's like either they laughed or they didn't.
Yes.
And there's no excuse of like, well, you know, the banner wasn't on the wrong placement, the media planner, like, no, does not matter. Either they laughed or they didn't.
Right.
So that pressure is there. And I think that, you know, you set people up with comedy. And when you make people laugh, you're leveling the playing field because you're making people see the thing from your perspective. And they may not have thought that that perspective exists. But when they laugh, you're like, you just proved that I can force you to look at something in a different way.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do in marketing. They may not think of our products in that way. They may not think of our company in that way. If we can use humor to set them up, shoulders come down, arms open up,
yes.
they're more open to it.
Yes, and now let me hear the rest of the story kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're open
exactly,
to it versus
exactly.
just, it really is. I think it's one of the most intimate ways that we can connect in a business context, that we can make somebody laugh. And
yeah.
I don't understand why more brands aren't doing it.
You know, it's really tough because even though there could be 99% of the room gets the joke, love the joke, it's the 1% like, I'm offended.
Yes.
And I get it. I get a marketing manager going, hey, I don't want to lose my job.
Right.
And I don't want that one letter to come through. I actually think we need greater polarization. I think we need to offend people in some ways.
Yeah.
The people who aren't relevant, who are not in our sweet spot, who aren't right for the joke, they don't get the joke, who cares? They're not going to be a customer. Let's look at the people who we really want to connect with and let's write humor for them. And it's going to help connect in a way better way than 3 easy payments of $9.99 a month.
That's right.
It just is.
That's right. And I guess that's part of getting this stuff approved. Like when I was at IBM, it was about convincing people, yes, not everybody's going to get it. Humor is subjective.
Yeah.
But why don't we serve the people who are going to appreciate this?
Yeah.
And man, the biggest obstacle, the one I hated the most was, well, this isn't global. and it's just the most absurd thing. And because, you pick up anything else that we have, any other content we have, or marketing collateral, and maybe it's global, but it's boring.
Yeah.
So just because other people will understand it doesn't mean they're going to read it, because they don't care. And that frustrates the heck out of me.
Yeah, it's they go for lowest common denominator to be safe. And, like if you look at bathroom signage, right? There's one way to do it. It's like that. It's a stick person in every airport, in every hotel.
Yes.
It's the exact same way. And the second somebody says, oh, what if we had the person in the cowboy hat?
Yeah.
Or what if we had the person, crossing their legs or something? There's some little nervous Nelly within our organization who goes, oh, but the people aren't going to know that it's a washroom sign because everybody else does it this way. And I'm looking at the men's sign right there, right? That's the way they do it. And if we don't do it like that, people are going to be confused, they're not going to understand.
Right.
And everybody else, they lose their spine. And instead of fighting for it, they go, maybe Sheila's got a point.
Yes, that's right. John Cleese says that when you're in a room discussing comedy, all it takes is one person to bring up the fear and say, well, what if there's a chance that somebody misunderstands and it shuts everything down? Yeah. Totally shuts it down.
The very first night I did stand-up comedy, very first night, because normally you do a 5-minute, you go to an open mic or something. I was like, no, not doing that. I'm going to produce my own show, make myself the headliner. I did a 45-minute set.
Your first time?
Very first night of comedy of all time. I did a 45-minute headlining set. But in the day, a colleague came up to me and she said, what if you're not funny? And she was afraid for me of like, oh my God, you've sold it. There's 100 people coming to this thing at a comedy club, at Second City, at the side stage. You're doing 45 minutes one if you're not funny. And my reaction was, how funny is that? That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Guy thinks he's going to be hilarious for 45 minutes and 2 minutes in realizes you're not funny. And I think that's the approach that people need to take, which is like, that's fine. If it's not funny, it's not funny. We need to pursue. We got to find the funny. And if we don't find it along the way, then we don't find it along the way.
Right.
We don't stop looking. So I think it certainly takes courage for people to request funny, approve funny, work with people to get to funny.
Yes, but it's going to take a lot to change a corporate mentality to say, let's put it out there, and if people don't laugh, they don't laugh, and we're okay with it.
Yep.
Because this is it's an iterative process, and not everything's going to hit. But I remember getting to a point in stand-up where you have to be at peace with, like, I'm going to say what I want to say, and I hope people laugh. And if they don't laugh, maybe they'll still get something out of it. But you do have to get to that point where you're at peace with, I may not get that instantaneous feedback that I want, and that's not that easy. It takes some work.
You know what? When I hit the level in stand-up where I was totally fine tanking, that to me was like, this is a great spot to be.
It is.
Because early in your career, right, you tank and you're like, I'm not funny. What am I doing this? I've been found out. And later in your career, you're like, I've been funny enough times to know I'm funny.
Right.
And if I don't push it into a zone where it's inappropriate, if I don't cross the line, I'm never gonna, get closer to the line.
Right.
I've got to be comfortable with tanking, and I'm totally fine with tanking.
And I think we all need to get to that place in life. Just to, even for non-comedians, that we're like, look, I'm a good person.
I don't care if I'm wearing Crocs.
Yeah,
I don't care if people think I'm wearing Crocs.
That's exactly it. It's like, I'm doing this. This is who I am, and I'm cool with it. But it takes a lot of you getting comfortable with yourself, and sometimes that doesn't happen until really late in life. But that'll be our mission going forward, to get people to that point where they're willing to wear Crocs. We're going to bring back Crocs. Okay. Hey, thank you for being on the show, Ron.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Church and State. What's the best way for us to find you?
The agency is Church and State. It is churchstate.co is the website. Or I'm at rontight.com.
Okay.
Or the great part about having 7 letters in first and last name, everything is just at Ron Tight. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, just at
It
Ron
all fits.
Tight. Yeah,
okay.
That's great.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you. We're going to come back maybe with a 2-hour special. Can you do that?
Seriously, there's so much more for us to talk about.
There is. So we'll do a behind the scenes that's going to be released on the dark web. Okay. Tune in for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.
Take
for
care,
having
brother.
me. Okay. Thank you.